fucking backs like him for terror. Most rap niggas came loud but unheard. Once I pulled out, round them off to the nearest third. Check these non-visual niggas with tapes and a portrait. Flood the seminar trying to orbit this corporate industry. But what them niggas can't see must break through like the woo unexpectedly. Protect your neck, my sword still remains imperial. Before I blast the mic, RZA scratch off the cereal. We rain all year round from June to June. While niggas bite immediately, if not soon. Set the lynching and inform the execution date as this 2000 beyond slang suffocate. Amplify sample through vacuum tubes, compressions. Cause RZA the charge niggas 20 G's a session.
What's good? Mic check, what's good? Got a good show tonight. We're gonna cover a little Tucker's speech, a little rant I had on the situation our country's in, then we'll move on to some more funnier topics. Let me do this soundtrack and I'll be right back. What's good? It's Osiris Middle MAGA Friday night. Let's rock out until Saturday morning. It is Saturday morning. It is technically Morning Spice over on the East Coast.
Hit the clutch, shift the gear now, full throttle. Time to bungee to the next episode. I keeps it grungy, hand on my nut sack and spitting lunges. Had a whack nigga that don't understand the fact. When they come to RZA tracks, I don't know how to act. Real rap from the stack. Killer Hill projects, how to be exact. Break it down, all in.
It's a lazy afternoon. It's a lazy afternoon. It's a lazy afternoon. It's a lazy afternoon.
Consider this a message to my mellow in the front seat of the Jeep, pumping beats for your rump in the summertime. I'm rising to the shine at 12:20. Ghetto streets is sunny, niggas is getting money, it's mad hot. And what I got to do, I'm not sure. I call her Mora. This dip I know from Bora Bora. Was rapping for a second about what I reckon that I was doing at 6. She was inviting me to the flicks that I went, blew a kiss, click. Now I'm in the shower, I'm in the bathroom, which I simmer for half an hour. Then got dryer, put on a tire to inspire. Hit my dress up for numbers of women that I admire. Laid around and lounge till around 2. Then I got up at 8, drank a brew and caught a page from the crew saying where you at. Later meet us up at the Platte, bring a sack. Hey yo, it's Saturday, it's gonna be fat. Now it's 3:37 and I still ain't left the rest. Electric relaxation from a Tribe Called Quest with the boom. Soaking, smoking, cooling out as I parlay in my room. Cause it's a lazy afternoon.
I believe that the left ever gets in control again, it's not going to be incremental change we see. They have said they're going to undo everything this president has done. And look, I heard this sanctimonious Nancy Pelosi this weekend calling for prayer for our country, praying for prayer. Look, that reminds me of an arsonist, a pyromaniac with a match in his hand about to set a building on fire saying, now pray with me that the destruction I'm about to cause isn't too severe. And apparently the God they worship is the God of the pagan God of the Old Testament, Moloch, who allowed for child sacrifice.
These people are sick. These people are savages. Many of them are pagan worshipers. And you got this guy, this senile vegetable.
Maisie, I told my granddaughter, whose name is Maisie as well, she said, that's why I like her. Anyway.
Up there cracking jokes, laughing around while children were burned alive. One story of a child whose body couldn't be found. The police wouldn't even allow the parents to go back home. They finally went inside. The police said no one was there. They found him clutching the body of their dead dog. The dog was more loyal than the government. The dog was there for him, and he's sitting up there falling asleep. Oh yeah, he's praying. When the American people, our American soldiers, are lying dead, blown apart at Abbey Gate. This country is roiling. This country is about to explode with anger.
Got fired.
And it's no wonder they're trying to lock us down again.
We're joined now by former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He also sits on the board of Pfizer, and it's great to have you here in person, Doctor.
Thanks a lot.
I want to start on some news we got Thursday. The CDC announced a highly mutated strain of COVID has just shown up in Michigan.
It's no wonder they're trying to cancel our elections. It's no wonder that they're trying to shut down all of our free speech.
That jail is where the disgraced ex-president of these United States is heading.
See the laugh? See the laugh right there? They think this is funny.
We can all see you for what you are now. We can all see this twisted, perverted regime serving evil. This is a spiritual war. We are fighting against the spiritual evil, and only through an awakening will this country ever be saved.
Mike has bad knees. What's up? Yo. That was a nice little video put together there. That was Ultra MAGA. What does it go by? Or he or she. I don't even know if it's a he or she. Does great. Ultra MAGA party. Usually see Ultra MAGA. I usually see, for some reason, I see those videos on Getter more than Twitter. I don't know if it's, I follow so many people on Twitter. Mike has bad knees, friend of the show. Thank you. Giovanna, thank you for stopping by. Yeah, it is. And the scary part to me is, I don't know if I want to call it scary, but the part that I'm watching is, where do you take that energy and where do you put it? And I actually had just a brief exchange with Jack, and I was bringing up, of course, the idea of secession, and Jack didn't. I think he called me something like G.I. Joe. So Jack Posavec even considers the idea of secession, when obviously I've said it, I almost say it literally every time peacefully. He assumes it to be something else. And big fan. I like Jack a lot, but the video that he put out there, there's no idea there better than what I've proposed. I did this thread just to talk about where we are, just to wrap up kind of the Donald Trump stuff. I think it's great to turn it. I played the meme yesterday, love it, and people turning the mugshots into a good meme opportunity. I think that's beautiful. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change this part. So I'll let the memesters handle what they do, and I'll handle what I do. And I said the very individuals unable to articulate a definition for woman are the same vanguard champion for Donald Trump's unjust arrests. America now stands at the precipice of a cultural abyss, undeniably deeper and more treacherous than the divides of the Civil War era. And that's the impact, that's the importance of what's happening with Donald Trump. Notice I didn't say anything here about supporting Trump or not supporting Trump. That's obviously not the take here. The take is that we are in that realm of cultural divide, worse, and not just worse, far worse than the Civil War era. There are some things that are playing a factor. Luckily, thankfully, very gratefully that it hasn't taken it to a violent place at this point, because we want to avoid that. But just to go into that a little bit more, the Civil War transcended the confines of mere disputes over slavery or states' rights. This all spawned from a post I had under Laura Loomer, and there's a lot of comments in there, so I just did this thread. And it's the Civil War back then. It was, I initially said it was about slavery, the standard thing. Oh, yeah, it was about slavery, but, at its core, middle core, it was about states' rights. And obviously this is not a pro-slavery debate or discussion, but we do have to remind how many slaves went into this device that I'm holding right now. So I don't want to hear any righteousness about anybody about slavery or not slavery. If we have modern day slaves. I've got a computer and I've got the phone here. I've got an iPad. How many modern day slaves went into powering these devices just from the cobalt in the batteries, not much less the manufacturing of the damn phones. So we're pretty comfortable with it now. What's happened is it's not overt. It's not on the plantation with a whip. It's off. We've shipped that off to another country. Let them deal with it. Now we can be righteous and say, oh, slavery. Oh, no, you can't talk about slavery. Oh, no. But what are you using? What is powering this world based on the backs of people who are paid nothing or little at all or risking their lives to do it? I don't know those details for sure or not, but do you really care? I'll be honest with you. Don't get conquered. Let's just say I have more things more close to me that I want to control and care about. So I went back and saw this insightful article from 2010 from the New York Times by Jim Cobb. It was titled "The Cultural Roots of Disunion." Sheds light on the profound cultural differences that underpinned this divide. And it's a very good article. I actually didn't put a link to it. I should have linked it. I got it from the archives. But this piece here talked about Harriet Beecher Stowe. And later writers, Harriet Beecher Stowe helped to inspire and nurture a broader vision in which the northern states were synonymous with America, with the South standing as the antithesis. So Harriet Beecher Stowe has come up on the channel multiple times in the context of Uncle Tom. But you see that Harriet Beecher Stowe was a very anti-slavery writer, wrote one of the most famous books in the history of this country, and it highlighted the differences. By 1823, New Yorker Gerrit Smith could already remark on the almost national difference of character between the people in the northern and the people of the southern states. That was beyond slavery. That was just a cultural difference. And I go on to say the North and South held distinct perspectives on economy, society, and values. These differences were not just political, but they were woven into the very fabric of their daily lives and beliefs. And this is written, you can say by me or however you want to think of it. I used ChatGPT to write this thread. And let's bring it, I'll do one more, then we'll bring it forward to today. The Southern agrarian society, steeped in the traditions and honor of chivalry, stood in stark contrast to the North. The North, with its burgeoning industries, was rapidly urbanizing and moving away from agrarian norms. Fast forward today, and the remnants of such divides are still clearly felt. So everything I said about the South, that was the broken fabric, more broken than even the concept of slavery or state rights, was that fundamental difference. So we fast forward today, and we still have the remnants of the same divides. And it's still clearly felt. Jason Aldean had that song, Try That in a Small Town. The song faced some backlash. Here's a short clip from Postelbeck again.
That's on the left, right? Both of those are coming from the left, is my point.
So yeah,
and I get what you're saying, but my point is you're not allowed to have these from the other perspective. You're only allowed to have them in one direction. So you can have Neil Young, who's not even American, by the way, slandering Southerners. You can have Neil Young and others attacking American military for dealing with unrest on campus, but you can't have anything in the other direction. That's on the left, right? Both of those are.
Thank you, Giovanna said she's going to share it on Getter. I love Getter. I haven't been on there in a minute. Just focusing on Twitter right now and don't only have so much time. So I appreciate you. This is being streamed on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Usually, primarily, I am going to keep it on YouTube for right now, too. So I'm just going to keep it on YouTube until YouTube cuts it off. I'm expecting the whole channel to get nuked at some point. I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. Go to middlemaga.com, sign up for the email. I will be sending out notifications. I'm trying to organize how I want the email to look. to let people know weekly or something like that. Not too much. I don't like to fill up people's junk boxes, but thank you. William Harold, yes, let's get into the weekend. Let's go. I don't know if I have any plans, which is fine. I'm trying to think. Do I have plans for the weekend? I don't even know what's going on. But you see, the divide is still there, the same type of cultural divide. There's no Mason-Dixon line. It's still kind of there, faint, but it's not really there. And fast forward to today, we've got the same things, but even worse. We have a debate over defining a woman that underscores the vast societal dilemma with identity and values.
Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case, so it's hard for me to comment as to whether.
All right, I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
She can't answer the question. Are you serious? Do you think that that's a better place than we were in 1840, all the way up to the end of antebellum, 1860? They weren't debating what a man and a woman was. This is, as far as being worse, we are in a cultural divide that's worse, and that's not some random person off the street. That is a Supreme Court justice.
Senator, respect.
So what's going through her head, because she's obviously a woman, is she's not really free. That's what's going through her head. She's like, well, I better be careful here.
Respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case, so it's hard for me to.
You need to be familiar with the case to know what a man or a woman is?
Comment as to whether.
All right, I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
Do you agree?
When she touches her head, that's a tell, is what we call that. If you play poker, you know that. Let's go back to slavery and talk about that, if just briefly. Nature in its unrefined state exhibits savagery. Slavery reflects this unforgiving truth. The devices many rely on daily have components crafted by individuals trapped in contemporary forms of slavery. But the reason I brought it up again is there is a cold logic to that. It is tough to see. It is dark. You don't want to see that. Around 40,000. I'm just going to read this clip here. Sky News in the Congo. We always go to the Congo because that's where it is right now, where we're pushing everybody to electric vehicles and all that. And they still need cobalt, which is mined. Elon Musk is trying to get it off, and they're all trying to get off of the cobalt because they know how bad this looks. Haven't been able to do it. Sky News Congo. Cobalt mines that exploit children. Around 40,000 children work in cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is the same area of the country where slaves were shipped all throughout the world from back in the 19th century, and well, obviously before the 19th century. Continuing on, while there's a video playing in the background here showing the kids digging. So they earn less than $2 a day. Is that slavery or not? I'd say it's slavery adjacent. DR Congo has the largest cobalt deposits in the world. And this is where all your green people are trying to push you to. This mineral powers smartphone batteries. So when I say powers your devices and my devices, I mean literally powering them. So now we can have that freedom to say, I don't have to worry about slavery. It's over there. We don't see it. We don't talk about it. We can even promote the green energy from all the cars, from Tesla to phones to whatever else. We're going to work from home off of what? Off the computers. What are they powered off of? Off of cobalt, a little bit of cobalt in those batteries, mined by children making $2 an hour, as well as laptops and electric vehicles and many other things. So they have pictures of the children and is trying to tug at your heartstrings, but I haven't heard any strong refute of this. So I can't independently confirm, but I haven't heard any strong, credible refute. Comparatively, the notion of changing a child's gender is devoid of logic. So as dark as the Congo stuff is, you can see I don't want to get behind China or any other country that's fine with the Congo mining their cobalt. What are you willing to sacrifice? Oh, we take all these devices. We either increase the price tenfold. Your laptop's now $10,000. Your phone is now $10,000. Or are you willing to sacrifice that while the rest of the world's like, we're good with Congo being enslaved? There's a logic behind it. This right here, this assertion that a woman can transform into a man, there is no logic. There's no foundational basis for it. It doesn't make any sense. It departs from biological truths with no clear justification. And I'm not even going to play this one again. This is a tough one to watch. This is allegedly a mother with her daughter transitioning. Culturally, America's current state is more dire than it was in 1860, nearing the close of the antebellum period. And this is, I don't know what this is. You tell me.
Into a donut. This donut is breaking, but you get it. She's about 6 months out from surgery, and she's at the point where she can comfortably serve her donut. And the process of figuring things out has been a lot of fun for both of us. Her donut can feel a pretty wide range of sensations, but it'll be a few more months before she can cross the finish line. But even now, her donut looks and feels incredible. You'd have a tough time knowing it was ever a cake pop to begin with. I can also confirm that the donut does self-glaze, though sometimes we add a little bit of extra glaze just to be sure. And since the donut hole is a little bit on the smaller side right now, extra glaze can be helpful as we work up to getting a full cake pop stick to fit inside. Most importantly, she doesn't regret getting her donut for a second. She's finally comfortable in her body, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm still not sure if I want to get a donut, but experiencing it secondhand through her has been very helpful.
I'm not sure if I want to get a donut. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to want another donut. Thanks for ruining donut. Well, you know what? That will help. Those things aren't good for you. So actually, I appreciate you, bro.
Now, y'all want to know why part of my colon was used to surgically create my brand new coochie cat? My new poom poom. As always, TikTok, this video is for educational purposes.
Oh, okay.
Don't even fucking try it. So a lot of y'all already know the backstory. My name is Zaya. I'm a 21-year-old transgender woman. And last year I had male to female bottom surgery. My P was turned into a V. And basically with my original surgery, I developed vaginal stenosis, which is a very serious complication. And basically my vaginal canal had to be replaced. So fun. And with the original surgery, I had a technique called penile inversion, which is where they invert the PP and use the skin to create the vaginal canal. And with that technique, you get a set amount of depth that you have to dilate. TikTok, this is a medical tool. Don't ban me. So this is a dilator. And basically you have to insert this into the canal every day for the first year after surgery to keep it open and make sure it heals well. And I originally was dilating to the 4th dot, so that's how long my canal was. But when I developed the stenosis, basically a bunch of scar tissue filled up my canal, and I ended up only being able to dilate to the 1st dot. I went from this to this, and it made dilating extremely, extremely painful, and it was super tight, so I wasn't having it. You know, I don't get a period. I can't have babies. The only reason for the canal is for fun. So, you know, a bitch had to get it replaced. So the reason I chose to use part of my colon is because the colon is stretchy. It cannot close.
Of course.
And with the colon technique, you only have to dilate the first 2 to 3 inches because the rest can't close. It
Wonderful.
also gives you a ribbed texture and is self-lubricates. So where I was only dilating to the 1st dot with the penile inversion technique, now with the colon technique, I can fit this entire thing inside of my canal. And this is 9 inches long. That's how stretchy the colon is. There's also a myth that with the colon technique, your punani will always smell like caca because they use part of the colon. But no, while it can have an interesting smell the first 6 months after surgery because it's literally healing and it's adjusting and creating new vaginal bacteria, after the first 6 months, it should smell just like a regular punani unless you're not taking care of it. So no, that's a myth. So yeah, that's why they use part of my colon, my custom coochie.
I'm sure
I want to know why.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm sure it smells wonderful. Going on, we've fallen pretty far. Continuing on, historically, societies have thrived when they've recognized the need for separation. I think we need to separate. I really do think we need to separate. We're just too far off. I think it's not working. It's just not going to work, okay? And that's the same energy behind Donald Trump, like cheering Donald Trump on. It's the same thing. I bet you could poll anyone who doesn't know how to define a man or a woman, and they would poll 100% against Donald Trump. It's just representing that divide. They would convict me of anything. It doesn't even matter. They don't know the facts. They don't know the charges. Historically, there is some precedent for societies who have thrived when they've recognized the need for separation. The creation of distinct city-states. I had to look this up because I was like, is there any historical precedents for this? I didn't know, so I had to look it up. In ancient Greece, allowed for diverse, and I know what you're going to say, so wait, I'll address that. Allowed for diverse cultures and beliefs to flourish independently. Athens, Sparta, Corinth, distinct identities, unique cultures, their decentralization birthed diverse ideas, each city enriching civilization's wisdom. It was a little different, obviously. You had kings and stuff, but a testament to valuing differences, allowing coexistence for collective enhancement. So there was some good there. I will acknowledge that while they flourished, there was still beef. Things were still popping off. There were still wars. Their independence, while fostering growth, ignited rivalries. And my comment to that is Earth isn't a utopia. We're not on the path for peace right now. And I think the only place you're going to have peace is in the hereafter. Today, America already is on that path of tensions, even though I'm more on Jack Posevic's side. That intro video was a path of tension. I agree with everything in it. But our solution is different, that's for sure. Decentralization emerges as a beacon for peace. Jack Posovic does not believe that. In fact, he called me G.I. Joe when I brought that up. Without it, calls for escalating revenge loom. And Joy Reid basically says, from when she was young, she was hoping to get revenge on people like Donald Trump.
Vile, racist, anti-democracy buffoon he was. This is the buffooning of the American presidency. This should not be happening. So as a teenager living in New York, I've said it before, this is the reason I never watched The Apprentice. I despised Donald Trump because he, to me, signified the rich white guy in Manhattan that absolutely hated and despised me, that hated and despised my cousins, my friends, everyone we knew, that called us wilding just because we were in the park, that said we can't be free to walk around in the street, that said when Patrick Dorismond got killed by an off-duty police officer, he's no choir boy. And he was was no altar boy. He was literally an altar boy. Giuliani said that. And so people like Giuliani and people like Trump persecuted Black and brown people in New York. It's what they did for fun. It's what they did for pleasure. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed lording over people who had nothing, who had no $1 million lawyers, who couldn't change lawyers at the drop of a hat and get a different hip hop lawyer the next day when they were tired of one, who couldn't go out and make their case on, Fox or on Newsmax, who had nothing, and who Donald Trump lorded his everything over, and still people who looked like them put him in rap songs. It was an indignity to me that something I loved, a culture I love, would lionize that. And so to me, this is justice. The fact that Manhattan didn't give him a mugshot, I thought was offensive. I thought that the Fed said, we already know what he looks like. He was the president of the United States. Okay, offensive. Everyone else had to take him. This case, and I think Fonnie Willis is a hero. She is a national hero because she, more than any prosecutor in this country, and I respect Jack Smith and I respect all the prosecutors that are doing this, she's the only one who said these wealthy, powerful, privileged men and women are just American citizens.
So that's Joy Reid, as you can see, escalating. And you can look back just to 2014 and see people still having no problem with Donald Trump. So I don't know if what she's saying is true or not. When she was young, she didn't like Donald Trump. That might be true. I don't believe it. Charlie Kirk as well, who was great, but rather than championing the dignified notion of peaceful separation, advocates for escalation. Is a nation bound solely by mutual desires for retribution truly a place one aspires to inhabit? I haven't done a full breakdown on this article. It is a very good article. I disagree with it, but Charlie Kirk is a very just brilliant mind. It says, how should Republicans respond to Fulton County? Indict the left. I have no interest in such things, sir. As America grapples with its cultural divides, the path forward doesn't come with bridging the unbridgeable, but in charting a new course that respects the sanctity of diverse and incompatible beliefs. Let me know what you think on that. I'll check out the chat. What's good? How you feeling? Got some, Tucker dropped a video. I didn't even see it yet. He did a speech in Budapest.
I wipe the coal out of my eyes and let
Hurricane Hilda says Jesus won't recognize you if you alter his miracle. Appreciate you. Mike Has Bad Knee says that one is also a dude, right? His surgeons did a real good job. I would be fooled. Yeah, I mean, I've said it multiple times. That's fine. There's many dudes out here who are getting surgery that it's getting hard to tell. So it's getting hard to tell, especially online when they can do the filters and all that kind of stuff. I said that doesn't change anything. You might have a good presentation, and I don't think any of the ones I showed was, but there are out there. I talked about is her name Daisy Taylor? I did that thing she was on with Andrew Schultz, and you could argue Blair White. You have decent biological males that are in a costume, cosplaying as women and kind of play the role from afar at least, or online at least. That doesn't change anything, you're dude. And it doesn't. I don't care if you're attracted to that or not. It doesn't matter. That's not even the debate here. The debate here is you're dude. Let me go through and see what's going on with Tucker here. I don't know what this speech is. I have not heard it. I saw it tonight. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. And I'm going to go straight over to this Tucker because you know why I'm kind of like energized to see it. I'm like, Tucker is probably my favorite orator right now. I'm trying to think, who is it? Who's better than Tucker? Somebody in the chat tell me, who's a better speaker right now than Tucker Carlson? We have... See, I like Vivek, but he's not... I don't know, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I would put him above. Yeah, I think maybe Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson, who is running for governor of North Carolina? I forget. I think it's North Carolina. He's really good. I like him a lot. I'm trying to think who else. I can't think of anyone. What are you up to, Tucker? What's going on?
It is so nice to be in this retrograde right-wing hellscape. This is my second time in Hungary, and both times I've had exactly the same reaction. The first reaction, if I'm being honest, is the food is amazing. The second reaction is I have no hope in this lifetime of speaking Hungarian, but I admire it. And the third reaction is this does not seem like a right-wing hellscape to me at all. It actually seems very much like the country that I grew up in. It seems like America circa 1985, where there's a big bulk of normal people who aren't that interested in politics. Then you have people on both sides who are each making their case, and there's a vigorous public discussion about that, and people disagree, but they're not on the verge of shooting each other. It's all kind of normal. That's the way it seems to me. So if this qualifies as a dangerous, rogue, right-wing country, I'm thinking maybe the terms have changed a little bit since my childhood. And that leads me to the apology that I want to begin my remarks by giving you as an American. I'm 54, so I've watched my country for a long time, and I'm loyal to it. I will never leave. I don't have another passport. I love the United States.
Preach.
For all its flaws, as you do when you're from somewhere, it's like your own family. It's imperfect, but it's yours, and so you love it. And that's how I feel about the U.S.
Preach.
And so I'm not in the habit of apologizing for the United States. In fact, I don't think I ever have.
Preach.
But the behavior of the American ambassador to Hungary makes me want to apologize. It's disgusting and inexcusable. It's also so far from the norms of diplomacy in my country that it's hard for me to believe that David Pressman is actually doing what he's doing. And I say that as someone who spent his life, 35 years in Washington. I'm the son of a diplomat. So I have a maybe better than average sense of what diplomacy is. Diplomacy is a pretty simple concept. It's the business of, often the art of, convincing other countries to take your side on matters that help you. And the entire premise behind diplomacy is countries are different. They're not all the same. They have different languages and histories and religions and cultures, and they're hard to understand. And that's why you hire people who can understand them, who speak the language, who are on some level sympathetic maybe, and then you send those people to the other country to try to convince that country, whether it's an ally or a potential ally or even an enemy, to take your side on an issue that helps you. That's the whole point of diplomacy, is to convince other nations to take your side. The point of diplomacy is not to hector other nations for its own sake, to show up in somebody else's country and scream at them because they're different from you, because they have a different history or language or religion or culture. That is the opposite of diplomacy. It does not serve the interests of the country that sent you. It harms them. And so for a...
I'm not going to interrupt too much, but the context of this is that Pressman, again, talking about gender and all that kind of stuff, was basically, mocking Hungary. I got to find the quote over their views on gender and marriage.
Creep like David Pressman, who was not a diplomat, who was a political activist and Biden donor, to show up in your country and lecture you about your culture and threaten you because you do things differently from the way they do things where he lives, hurts the United States and is a grave embarrassment to me as an American and an outrage to me as someone who pays his salary. It's disgusting. And I would say that even if I agreed with what he was saying, it's not simply that I agree with you and don't agree with David Pressman. It's that as an American, he's not serving my interests, he's hurting them. If he showed up, or a so-called diplomat from the Biden administration showed up and say Bahrain or Qatar or UAE or some important Gulf state and started lecturing them about how it's wrong to venerate a 7th century goat herder, I'm not a Muslim, but I would be gravely offended by that. Because it's not the business of the US government what you believe. It's not our job to tear down and assault your culture. It's the job of our diplomats to win you to our side, not to enrage you for no reason. And David Pressman is doing this not on behalf of the American people who do not share his views, and it's measurable in our public opinion polling. He's doing it on behalf of a tiny percentage of the American population, on behalf of an interest group, the Human Rights Campaign, carrying their water under the US flag paid by US taxpayers to this country to attack you because you have views he doesn't like. That never happened before. I don't think that's happened in my lifetime. Nobody from the State Department could get away with that. He'd be recalled immediately and scolded and fired, as David Pressman should be. So I just want to say I'm embarrassed that I share a country of birth with a man, with a villain like this. It's horrifying. And my advice, to the extent I would presume to give you advice on how to handle this, is just wait it out. Wait it out. The United States is in a place right now where this is not sustainable. You can't run a global empire based on the imposition of boutique sexual politics on countries that don't want them. The United States, I think, did a lot to liberate Hungary from the Soviets, from the Russians, and I'm proud of that. My father was involved in it. That's how I knew about Hungary, because my father visited Budapest 35 years ago, when you were still under the yoke of the Soviets. And the purpose of American diplomacy in Eastern and Central Europe then was to help liberate the countries so they could run themselves. And the idea was you didn't want a foreign superpower telling you how to live, because that's the opposite of democracy, it's tyranny. And to wake up one morning 35 years later and see my own government engaged in exactly the same kind of tyranny. The Soviets told you you had to worship Lenin. The State Department tells you now you have to worship transvestites. It's not so different. It's a foreign power pushing its weird boutique religion on you, and it's wrong. You worship whatever you want, it's your country. And I just believe, as a practical matter, this can't continue, because that's not the basis for a successful empire. Everybody wants freedom. Everyone understands the concept of self-determination. If you go to people who are under a foreign yoke and you say, someday you can be free, they understand that. They want that. That's a product you can sell because everybody wants it. You show up in a country and you say, you know what, your boys really should be girls. You know, there's some percentage who will be excited by the prospect of never having grandchildren. But most people won't be excited by that. In fact, most people will say, but boys can't become girls. It's biologically impossible. Sex can be determined at the chromosomal level. We can dig up bones 300,000 years old and tell whether they were male or female. There's no non-binary in science. You're insane. Go away. Most people don't want that product. And so if the purpose of your empire is selling something that nobody wants, you're not going to be in business for very long. And my hope is that the United States is in business for 1,000 years. I love the United States. It's my country. I was, to restate, born there and am never leaving, and I love my country. But the people who run it right now are dangerous and insane. And you can see that in the way they're treating your country, which, even if you don't like the values of the majority of Hungarians, even if you reject the Hungarian constitution as Christocentric and think that Viktor Orban is a bad guy, and you hate goulash, even if everything about Hungary is repugnant to you, if you're the United States, you're still not going to spend a lot of time hassling Hungary, because Hungary isn't hassling anybody else. Hungarians have views, your government has views, and even if you disagree with them, you must acknowledge that Hungary is not exporting their views to anybody else. You're not rolling across the border to reclaim territory you lost after the First World War. That could happen, but it's not happening now anyway. Transylvania is safe in Romanian hands at the moment. But it's true. This is not an expansionist power. This is not a power that's crushing weaker nations with sanctions. This is not a power that's exporting something ugly to the rest of the world. This is a country concerned with its own safety and prosperity. That's, in the words you used to hear a lot in the United States, a country that is minding its own business. And so even if you disagree, which for the record I do not, but even if I did, and I ran the State Department, I would say, let's take a pass on Hungary. We've got bigger problems. But they can't. They hate Hungary. And they hate it not because of what it's done, but because of what it is. It's a Christian country, and they hate that. And that's the truth. And nobody wants to say it, but it's true. And it's not a particularly provocative Christian country. I don't think most Hungarians go to church. It's not a theocracy. You're not required to believe in the catechism to live here. It's nothing like that. It's a soft Christian country, the softest ever. 300 years ago, people would look at modern Hungary and say, that's not a Christian country. But by modern standards, it's one of the last countries that identifies as a nation built on Christian precepts. Again, not imposing them on anyone else, but that is enough to incite our policymakers in the United States. And that is exactly why they hate Russia, by the way. I'm not a fan of Russia. And if I was, I wouldn't admit it to a Hungarian audience. When I hear Orban described as a Putin suck-up, I think, really? That image of Orban being pushed against a police car with a baton to his neck by Soviet-backed policemen comes to mind. Yeah, he's probably not pro-Russian, just guessing. But why do they make that charge? Well, because one thing that Russia and Hungary have in common is a big part of the population identify as Christians. Now, why would that be provocative? A huge part of Malaysians identify as Muslim. Fine with me. But it's not fine with Washington at all. It's deeply offensive to see that alive in Europe. And that is the core. It's not rational. This is happening on a gut level, but it is expressed through policy. Policies that I'm ashamed of that most Americans don't even know exist. The fact that Americans working in Hungary have to pay Hungarian and American taxes, one of the few countries in the world where that's true, that's punitive, that's punishment. And it's punishment for your constitution and for your attitudes. That is cultural imperialism. That's what we used to call it. The idea that the bigger country gets to impose its way of life on smaller countries, not convince them to adopt our way of life, not convince them to drink Coca-Cola because it tastes great, but force them. Convert or die. That was repugnant to Americans. That was the opposite of the American promise, which was this is all voluntary. Come to our side because you want to. We've got something better to offer you. We're not going to force you. We want you to come under your own free will. And that's no longer true. And what's sad, in my opinion, is that while the United States still has, I think, a lot to offer to the world, and I would never leave because it's, and no offense meant by this, and I hope none will be taken, it is the prettiest country in the world. It is, let's be honest. Even the crummy, sorry, it is. It's beautiful, and it has wonderful people, and I know many of you have relatives there. A lot of you are Americans, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's been taken over by lunatics. But the core of the country has not changed. But what's so interesting to me is that the people running the United States are no longer even pretending to offer a better life to the people who live there, which is a huge change. I mean, throughout the course of my life until fairly recently, we had people I voted for in office, people I would never vote for in office, but all of them made basically the same promise. Elect me, give me power, and I will make your life better. And here's how I'll do it. I never hear anybody make that case in the United States. And what they're offering is a world in which human flourishing is, if not impossible, very difficult. The ruling party is the party of the childless, the unmarried, the people who are working for low wages for large corporations and living in tiny apartments in overcrowded cities that are rife with crime. That's not a cliche, that's true. It's not a talking point. It's true. Who votes for the people who run the United States right now? People who are, again, working for big nonprofits or big banks, living in crowded conditions, very often alone, in big soulless cities, having their food delivered by immigrants, and spending their time glued to a screen. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like prison, actually. It sounds like prison. When people violate our laws in the United States, how do we punish them? Well, we execute a few, not very many. But mostly, our harshest punishment is locking them in a small cell where they can't see the sky, where their food is delivered through the bars, often by immigrants, from the commissary, which is the Uber Eats of prison, where they have to sit cut off from nature and in solitude for years. Well, that's the life of your average Democratic voter. Solitude, isolation, cut off from nature. Who are the people who oppose this? And some of them are Republicans. You're not going to hear me say word one in support of the Republicans, by the way, who have collaborated in the most dishonorable possible way with the Biden administration. So instead of saying Republican, I will describe them as anyone who's not with the program, which is the majority of people in my country. Where do they live? And more important, how do they live? Well, they're poorer generally on paper, but are their lives worse? If you live in a place where you can see the sky, where you can make your own.
So what I'm light on, I'm actually gonna finish this out. I'm just in the mood to finish it, and Tucker's the best American orator. I can't think of anyone better. I listen to a lot of people. Matt Walsh is good, but no one's at Tucker's level. I want to hear what I'm light on is the answers. That's what I'm light on right now. I think we've got the problem identified, and it will continue. I'll continue to show everybody's showcasing that. What I need from Tucker is a path forward, and no one. You name me someone who has presented, and someone prominent. I mean, somebody at some level that can get millions of views on a upload or a video. I don't care if it's a politician or what. Marjorie Taylor Greene actually did say national divorce. She didn't mean it like a full secession like I do, but she did present that, even though I've soured on her. So I will give her credit. She has done that. She's the only one actually that I've heard. I'm not saying that solution has to be my solution. I'm just saying I want to finish this out, and I don't know if he's going to touch on it, but I need solutions at this. I need like recommended solutions at this point.
Food and maybe even know where it comes from. If you can go outside and say, identify 3 species of trees, or hear birds, or experience silence, the rarest commodity in the modern world, silence, where you can hear voices that aren't being broadcast from NBC News or Google, maybe higher voices. Those are the people who are not with the program. People who have a daily experience of others and who have a daily experience of nature. And those people are much more likely to acknowledge a power beyond themselves and beyond their government. And there's a reason for that, because they can see it. When you're isolated in a cell, living, as the urban planners of the United States now refer to it as, in density, which is somehow supposed to be good for the climate or the world. No, it's death. It's enslavement is what it is. When you're living crowded as you would on an industrial farm as a cow or as a chicken in a pen, you are not liberated, you are enslaved, and you can't think clearly, and your reference points are gone, and you can't see the stars, and you can't see the trees. You cannot see God's creation. All around you, you see what? Drywall and screens made by other people who don't mean you well. And your ability to make clear judgments, to think clearly, to think rationally, goes away. And the next thing you know, you're still wearing a COVID mask 3 years later. Because how would you know not to? 4 years ago, I moved with my wife and some of our many children outside of a city where I had lived most of my life, Washington, D.C., to a rural area. And the very first thing I noticed when we left the city was every time you would stop and do something, whether it was, go to the store to get something to drink, go buy food, go to the post office, the very first thing that would happen is someone would talk to you. Do you know what talking is like to a person? It's different from texting. People speak and you look at their faces when they talk. And I hadn't had this experience quite as often as I did when I moved to a rural area, and they would talk and they would say things that weren't necessarily relevant to my daily schedule, like, how are you? How are your dogs? Stuff like that. And my first instinct was, man, I gotta go. I've got texts to do. I have a lot of emails to return. I don't have time to talk to this person. And I'd feel jittery, like you're getting in the way of my schedule by making human contact with me. And then I realized after a year or so, that is the whole point of life. It's not to return texts. It's to have relationships with other people. That is the whole point of life. That's where all joy comes from. It doesn't come from money. It comes from being in relationship with other people and with God, for that matter. And one leads to the other. And I had, as close to the earth as I tried to live while living in a city, I completely lost track of this. And so I guess I would just end on this. If you're trying to assess whether a political philosophy is a good philosophy or a bad philosophy, the test is really simple. Look at what it produces. If a politician, if a leader is telling you, vote for me, support me, send me money, I'm on your side, you can know whether that person is worth supporting by the world he has created, both around him and within his own home. Is that person happily married? Does his wife respect him? Do his children listen to him? How many dogs does he have? Is the town or city or country that he runs getting prettier? Is it cleaner? Is it less crowded? Is there more or less graffiti? Are there more people living on the streets? What percentage of people are on drugs? How many people died of drug overdoses on the sidewalk last month? These are measurable. And so by the fruits, you will know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. And you will also know by the degree to which the person lies to you. Now, all politicians lie. It's a feature of politics. So it's a matter of degrees. Is he lying to you in small ways? Is he bragging? I had 1 million people at my event. No, there were 300,000. No, it was 1 million. Okay, that's a lie. But is it a lie that threatens your existence? Probably not. It's the ones who tell you the 180-degree opposite of the truth who you need to be careful of. And they're the ones who will enslave you. That is true. If they're telling you it's nighttime when the sun is shining, if they're telling you up is down, black is white, they are the ones to avoid. They are dark forces. And even in a country as great as mine, with as many choices as any country in the world has ever had, there are 150 different brands of cat litter in the United States. We have choices. But even in a country like ours, where the promise is there's a flavor for you, there is no diversity whatsoever. There is no choice in the information that you receive, in our media landscape. Everybody is saying the same thing all the time. And now you have to ask yourself, why is that? And of course, the answer is very simple, because they're lying to you. And anyone who doesn't lie is punished and pushed off the stage. Now, I've been in the media business my entire life, 32 years, since August of 1991, and I've known this, and this realization has grown over the years, but it's in traveling outside of my country that it becomes real to me, and most recently this week in Hungary. And I'll just give you one example, and that's the war in Ukraine. Now, I think decent people can have different views on the war. I have my opinions. You may disagree with me. I don't think that makes me a bad person or a servant of Putin. And I don't think your opinion makes you an idiot or a bad person either. I think it's totally fair to disagree. What I object to is lying about what the facts are. And in the United States right now, the overwhelming majority of the population believes that the Ukrainian army is this close to defeating the Russian army. And, again, I think it's totally fair to root for the Ukrainian army. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm sorry that Russia invaded Ukraine. I'm not taking the Russian position on this. I'm merely saying that the fact of what is actually happening, not what we wish would happen, but what is happening, is essential if we want to make up our minds about what to do next. And in the United States, virtually everyone I've ever met believes that Ukraine is winning. Now, if you think about this for a moment, here you have one country which has 100 million more people than the other country and has much deeper military industrial capacity, can make more missiles, make more bullets, make more tanks than the other country. So over time, the bigger country is almost certain to win, correct? This is a physics principle. Right. It's not a statement of allegiance. You're not a shill for somebody for acknowledging that. If we're wrestling and you outweigh me by 100 pounds, you're probably going to win because you're bigger. That's a fact. And yet, my country, a nation of 350 million people, has been told exactly the opposite for a year and a half for ideological reasons, as a function of propaganda. It is lying. And the scary thing is that otherwise very smart people believe it, even though you can still, and this may change, go on Wikipedia in the United States and look up population numbers. How many people live in Russia? How many people live in Ukraine? Oh, one outweighs the other by 100 million people. That's probably going to win. Maybe we should force a peace or whatever, or adjust our expectations accordingly. But no. And it's funny, I showed up here in Budapest a couple of days ago, and I've talked to a bunch of different people and eaten like maybe 27 different meals. Gain a lot of weight in your country, I gotta be honest. That's not a criticism, just a fact. And I've asked every person, do you know, back where I come from, the most informed, the most technologically superior nation in the history of man, the only country to put a human being on the surface of the moon. In that country, everybody believes that Ukraine is one F-16 away from beating Russia on the field of battle. And every single Hungarian, most of them are anti-Russian, by the way, and I haven't met anyone in Hungary who likes the Russians, just being honest. They don't like the Russians. But everyone has looked at me like I'm insane. What? No. No. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be from a place that has been lied to at scale and believe the lies so thoroughly. But the truth is, that's kind of the state of man. I'm always interested when I come to Europe in the Ottoman occupation. And what's amazing to me is these countries went from Muslim to Christian in like one day, the day the siege ended. And you're like, you think to yourself, well, did all these people convert in one day? And not all of them, but yeah, most of them did. Because the deep truth, which no one wants to admit, is that leadership matters. When you have wise leaders who articulate clear goals and whose ideas are rooted in reality, physical reality, and unchanging human nature, those leaders will have happy, prosperous countries. And when you have leaders who have poison ideas that are rooted in anti-human, anti-theological ideology, when they get some crackpot idea like Marxism or neoliberalism or trannyism or whatever the ism is, those leaders will lead their countries to destruction. So as much as me as a native Californian wants to believe that everybody's opinion is equal and we're all the sum total of our choices, that's not true. We are all hostage to history. We are living in a world that we did not create, but that our leaders created for us. That is true. And by and large, we will follow them wherever they go. And so your leadership matters. It's essential. Your heart may not change when leadership changes, but the world around you will. And so do all that you can to preserve good leadership. That would be my parting piece of advice. Thank you for enduring me.
All right, that was Tucker. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Good talk, good speech. Again, light on solutions. We're not very good with solutions. That's the hard part. I do like he said, go talk to people, connect with people, but what does that mean? What do you do with that? You got to connect with people and build something from that. But that was the strongest part of, as far as the solution part of his speech there. But I would say Tucker is the best orator that I'm aware of. Tucker for VP. I'm a Kerry Lake person. You ain't gonna find anybody above Carrie Lake for VP for me. She would be on that short list of. She's not in Tucker's level as an orator, I think, but just she's up there though, and she's very authentic. She really challenges the audience, and she's definitely more solution oriented than Tucker. I did that live with Jen, the Sweet Home, California. And we did a live, and Carrie Lake was like, she said something to the effect of, for our country, you might have to sacrifice your job or something like that. You sacrifice your income or something like that. And the crowd was like, ooh. And Carrie Lake stood on it. The solution, that's part of the reason why people are light on the solution, because the solutions are not easy. We talked about this with Ray yesterday. If it takes 22 years for us to get from 9/11 to where we are now, it's going to take 22 years or more to rectify it. And that's not a message people want. And I understand you want to give hope, and I have tons of hope. But I'm not going to be unrealistic about what this is. This is for your children's children. This is, from my standpoint, for my children's children, not even for them. I mean, for them, but I don't think it's going to change by that. The solutions are dangerous. They even peaceful. They're dangerous solutions. They are not easy to enact. They're not popular. So they don't get into solutions, because then that's when you really got to stand on something. That's when you really got to rub people the wrong way. And I don't know if everybody wants to do that. So I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but I am, at least me personally, ready to see people focus. I need a challenge. People need to get challenged. That's why I like Laura Loomers. That's why I like anybody out there challenging people. I need some people. I need everyone to be. I need to be challenged. I need everyone to be challenging each other in a way that's productive to get better. Let me know what you think of the Tucker speech in the chat. The 80s were awesome. William, I think I pronounced your name wrong. I thought it was Harold. My bad. I just made up a R in the middle. It's William Heald, if that's accurate. William says 80s were awesome, y'all. I was just talking to my wife about this. I think the 80s are underrated because of the 70s, 60s, 70s were great with music. I mean, just culturally. And then the 90s was just the golden age of like everything. The fashion wasn't necessarily the best, but golden age for music, movies, entertainment, in my opinion. So the 80s kind of got crunched in between. But the 80s was underrated. The 80s was underrated from the music standpoint. The 80s, to me, had great pop. 80s might be one of the best pop decades ever. The fashion, people can knock the fashion of the 80s, but now I'm looking back at it, I actually like it for how bold it was. What is our fashion now? What are women wearing now? I'm not going to complain, but they just put on a legging and a shirt. I mean, that's what it amounts to, right? Isn't that the thing now? It's just women don't even wear jeans basically anymore. In the 80s, it was like the frizzy hair, and it was a bold style. I mean, it was really bold. I think it was more bold. The 90s was awkward. The 90s was awkward. 80s was awkward too, but I think the 80s was at least more bold. The big earrings. I'm just talking about women's fashion. Guys were cringe in the 80s with the leisure suits and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a fashion person, so let me get off that topic. Mike has bad knees, says Tucker, for Secretary of State. I wouldn't mind it. Get Tucker in there. Vivek can get a position. Yeah, you're going to have to go out of... Robert Barnes is an AG. I know that's not going to happen, but that's what... Yeah, Matt Walsh is, I don't know, something. I like Matt Walsh and his courage. He's very based. I mean, I'm just throwing out names. You know that's not going to happen, but that's what you need. You don't need these career politicians anymore. And that's Tucker did. I mean, that's basically what Tucker's talking about. At the end of the speech, he said, if you got good politicians, keep them there, to something to that effect. And we don't really have many of those. So I think the first thing is to get good politicians. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the speech. That was the first time I heard it. But we'll probably have to start by getting good people in there first, which is not an easy task. Not easy at all. But fatty will make my lead bigger. Why, Ray? Why are you doing bars? If you missed the show yesterday, Ray's putting out bars from the Dilly meme team, dropping the Riggers reference that triggered Al Sharpton. So if you didn't know, Trump tweeted something about voting riggers or something like that, like they rigged the vote. And I think Al Sharpton, if I'm not mistaken, was like, he kind of felt triggered by it. Because he thought it was can I say rigga? What was the election rigged? Was it rigged? Get rid of the riggers. Am I okay? But what if I say rigger? Oh no, it's over. I'm melting. You used the hard ER. How dare you? No!
And the racial language. I mean, this woman to call a federal office or call a judge's chambers talking about to a slave using a word that rhymes with the N-word. Donald Trump himself, their leader, using the term riggers, which clearly rhymes with the N-word. I mean, this is not 10 years ago or 30 years ago when we marched against him on the Central Park 5. I'm talking about within the last 24 hours, used the term riggers. Is this the kind of party the Republicans want to show the country that they are? There's no wonder independents are running away from them. To identify with blatant racism and blatant violence is not the party that we need. And I've never been a Republican, never leaned their way, but we need a two-party system. But we don't need one that prides itself in bigotry.
Yeah, and Trump has used, of course, that racist and inflammatory language for so long and only leading into it further as he's dealing with.
He said rigger. Are you niggas hard of hearing or reading? He didn't even say it. He said riggers. You damn buffoons. But at least you brought impotence for the Dilly meme team.
Now I say she a boat rigger, but fatty only make my lead bigger. Now I say she a boat rigger, but fatty only make my lead bigger. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. 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 Fanny the thought always at the beauty salon with a baby Louis Vuitton under her underarm. She said, talk to Waka Flock, I could really do harm. For a case, I got a lot, I could blow up the spot like a bomb. But I'm looking for the one, have you seen her? She went and put my whole team under subpoena. Diva, Friday, Felicia, poor kids. In charge of Donald Trump and niggas for bullshit. Indict Gucci Mane and chase her for some fame. She think it's all a game, for rap with no shame. She get up on TV, and you all know her name. If you're playing Fulton County, then you better get paid, you know why? Cause the DA corrupt, yo, from what I heard, Fatty got a baby by Mondo. And Loomis said she got a trapped house in a condo. She don't care whatever said, long as she clocked, though. Now I say she a boat rigger, but Fatty only make my lead bigger. Now I say she a boat rigger, but Fatty only make my lead bigger. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. 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 13 counts, she getting paid to pounce. A deck for 13 counts. I know somebody paying top to charge whoever he says. Another DA in the pop that handle all of his biz. You will see her at the courthouse, call her Fatty Willis. Charge another rapper cause you know she out to get us. She even charge her president if you could pay the money. Election interference done, deal for the money. She walk around looking like Trap Pole with the money. She got a new week, got white pole with the money. If you ain't no punk, holla, we want T-Trump. We want T-Trump, yeah. It's something that you need to have, cause when we get revenge, we gonna kick some ass. 13 counts, got paid for every count, straight into bank accounts. Now why you saying she a vote rigger? But fatty only make my lead bigger. Now why you saying she a vote rigger? But fatty only make my lead bigger. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down.
Get down, Dilly meme team. That is an instant classic. One of my favorite memes from the fellas at the Dilly meme team. They laid that one out, man. That just came out perfect. I wouldn't change one thing about that video. So Al Sharpton's on MSNBC. Like, the set must be awkward when Al Sharpton goes on there and says he used the R word that was right next to the N word. And everybody on the set they can't be like, Al, what? Like, wouldn't the natural reaction, somebody would be like, what did you say? No, there's no action. No, you can't do that. Oh, you could never do that. Fannie Willis was the target of the ridicule. We might go to the gulags. They got people in the gulags right now. They've been had people in the gulags. But you will catch these jokes, though. Hopefully Harrison Floyd, I don't know him well, just recently found out about him. He's one of the 18 along with Trump that got hemmed up. He's actually still locked up. And I don't know what's going on with his bond. I've heard all kinds of different stories, like he did something threatening to the FBI or something like that, or I don't know what happened. I can't really see the truth here. I can't find the truth looking for it. But he's in jail as of now, to my knowledge, hemmed up over that stuff. So they come at him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he did act out of line with the FBI, but they come at him with some BS, and then they put him in that position. Now he acts out of line. Now he's hemmed up, locked up, didn't post bond. Here's Fannie Willis. She probably laughing about it. She happy about it. These are some savage people right here. And there's a reason why I go after I go ham on black women. Oh, I go ham.
I'm an HBCU graduate, Howard University, Bison.
Oh, okay. That don't mean anything to me.
I'm an HBCU graduate, Howard University.
Oh, that's what I'm supposed to care about?
I'm an HBCU graduate, Howard University.
HBCU graduate, and you still a bitch. What does that have to do with anything?
Bison. My father is a former, and I guess always, a Black Panther. I take a lot.
What do I care about that either? Y'all are still corrupt people bringing down the country. A part of really historically the destruction of the country. This is old. This is from 2020 when she was running, I believe. Yeah. She was a candidate for DA. Your father was a Black Panther. What's the content? I don't care what your father was I don't care if you were a historically black university. You can take your black ass back to the university.
The Black Panther. I take a lot of pride in being Black in America. I always, when I pick a jury, and that was no different for Atlanta Public Schools, make sure that I have a jury that is diverse. I have a theory that if you have a jury that is diverse, it keeps people honest. They don't go back there and talk about issues that have nothing to do with the case, but they will focus on. I have this passion for youth programs and this passion for this pre-indictment diversion program because I know our kids, they just got a raw deal. They never got the education that they were entitled. They never got what they deserved. And as a result, their options now are less. So, I mean, if they criticize me for loving black and brown children, I got an undying love for black people, and I got an undying love for black children. That instead of indicting thousands of black and brown young men, thousands of people in general, we're going to put them in programs and change their lives. I have a list here for you. I have over 20 elected Democratic officials who endorse me. I'm going to tell you why. They are concerned about this seat. They are concerned that us as Democrats will lose this seat. If we lose this seat, the Republicans, the actual Republicans, will have this seat for 2 years.
So you see what's happening here? This black imam is outwardly saying, I'm a member of the Democratic Party and I don't want the Republicans to have this seat. So obviously you don't want the Republicans to have the White House. And obviously you don't want Trump. And made up charges to arrest him. A DA, a dumbass DA.
Actual Republicans will have this seat for 2 years, and we will lose the ability to move forward to actually keep this seat.
That's where we're at. And Benny Johnson had a tweet or thread here that covered some concerns. Going back to her, a dive into Fannie. I like calling her Fannie. Fannie Willis's social media proves that she is a hardened, radical activist and not an unbiased attorney. We already know that, but let's take a journey. Fannie's pages are littered with BLM propaganda. All that means is it's just a different branding. It's like Black Democrat is basically the branding. Adherence to corporate Democrat, or I'm paraphrasing. I would say corporate Democrat ideology. She openly worships Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So you're on that team. You want them to win. What would happen if Kamala Harris became president or Joe Biden became president and they said, Fannie Willis, you helped us out there. We're going to give you a role or do something like that. Would that be okay? That could happen. Nothing stopping it from happening. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis has blatantly and quite illegally used her office for partisan political activity. I'm reading directly now, Benny Johnson. Imagine thinking that you'll get justice from a person with a proud Democrat mug displayed prominently in their public office, but it gets much, much worse. Just right in the office, proud Democrat. That's the person that made up charges to arrest Donald Trump and 18 other citizens. I said, this thing got to go to the Supreme Court immediately. This is just unacceptable. So what's the consequences here? Even if the case is dismissed, how much money are people spending? And who's paying for this? The taxpayers. So you've got Georgia, and they're not doing a damn thing. You know what happened? You know what I'm looking at with that thing? I'm going to come back to this in a second. Because I brought up that Georgia did that law where they could remove the prosecutor. And it is giving me like this kind of vibe where I'm like, I know the corporate Republicans in Georgia don't want to do that. They're not going to do that. I know that. And I'm like, well, why did they pass the law then? I'm not ready to say it yet. ChatGPT is my friend. Maybe I'll do one of my live working sessions after I'm done with the show where I just stream and listen to music and look this stuff up. I have a theory that in Georgia, they did that law that said you could remove a prosecutor to make it look like they were going to do something. It actually makes it harder for them to remove a prosecutor than it did before. That's my theory. I'm not sure yet. Sometimes I have those theories. I look it up and I'm like, nah, that's not what it is. But it looks like, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like to me in Georgia, they passed a law to take it out of the legislative body's hands on removing a DA. So Ron DeSantis did it twice, and I gave him props both times. Maybe I didn't give him enough props on the show. On Twitter, I've given him props. I didn't even address the last one he did, so I really should do that to give him, just because it's the right thing to do. Much respect for that. He got these corrupt DAs up out of here, 2 of them. Who knows if he saved lives doing that? That's how you don't let your state become California. I never said Ron DeSantis was a bad governor. He's a bad campaigner, though. That's for damn sure. But so then Georgia sees that they're right next door, bordering state. They passed this legislation that's in effect now, where you can do this commission or whatever. You got to put this committee together. It looks harder to remove a DA now than it was before. I don't know. I got to double check that, because what I need to do is I'm not clear on what the process was before. I think it's a scam. I think it's a full blown scam. That's my theory, my working theory right now. We'll see, but I do know they're not going to do a damn thing. They don't want to do anything. We pretty much know that. As a public official, Fani Willis regularly and consistently questioned Georgia's election procedures and pushed unfounded election conspiracy theories on her public social media profile. Fani's indicting Trump for the exact same thing. Here's a list of examples. So he goes through some of their examples here of the problems. So you see, I'm not going to go through them all here. There's issues here. There's definitely issues. On the topic of solutions, it seems like I have to bring this up every once in a while with Mr. Thomas Massie. And he gets on my nerves a little bit sometimes. I like him, but he does really get on my nerves too. So Thomas Massie tweeted, or X'd, I don't even posted on X. He said, "I didn't take Trump's vaccine and I won't be taking Biden's." And that nowadays in 2023, that's a bold statement. Somebody replied, "What have you done to stop it? The only person I saw fight against the vax was Rand Paul." And Thomas Massie says, "Does your ignorance embarrass you? I was the only member of Congress to push back on the Trump-Pelosi CARES Act when it passed, and I was the first to introduce a bill to ban COVID vaccine mandates." And these are both true. But my issue with people like Thomas Massie is, great, I thank you, sir, for the stuff that you have done. Definitely thank you for that. But I don't want you walking around with your chest all puffed out like you've done something, because you haven't done anything. He voted. I think he was literally the only person, might have been literally the only person to vote against the CARES Act. Great. What do you want from me? A cookie? I said, Mr. Massie, your job as a politician isn't just to vote. I mean, really, voting is the end of the road. All of the hard work is before the vote. If I were in Congress and voted against the CARES Act and somebody said, "What have you done?" I would say, I was against the CARES Act and I have failed to gain consensus. I actually put concession. I should say consensus. This is a bad tweet, but you get my gist here. But to work on gaining consensus and to present a path forward. Can you articulate how you've done these things specific to the pandemic? He hasn't. He's tried. I don't blame him. It's not easy. But the problem I have with him is not that he's tried I need to hear how he tried. I think I saw some of the things he did. Going on Tim Pool is something. You're trying to talk to people, and he, talks to people, his constituents all the time. But what have you done to get consensus from your colleagues to get the votes? Specific to the pandemic, okay, you didn't get the votes. What's the path forward? Haven't heard that from him. So that's where I'm at with those guys. I need to see something. I need to see like another level. Don't stick your chest out just because you voted. Rand Paul does the same thing at times too. What did your vote do? It didn't do anything. So I appreciate you, but that means you just failed. There's just another way of you saying you failed. Crazy Clips showed some reckless bicycle riders in NYC. This stuff here is bananas what they're doing out here. They out here. Joy Reid used the term wild, and they out here wilding.
Come check this.
So they're on a bike popping a wheelie, which is really impressive for that long. And they're riding the bike right up to people or the door.
Oh my God! Let's go! He won't go!
Oh, that one failed. So what they're doing is they're riding the bike, popping a wheelie the whole time. I can't. I've never been able to do. I've been able to kind of pull it up, but I've never been able to ride like that, like it's a unicycle almost or something. And they're running the bike right up to people and then turning away at the last second. So like the closer they get to the person, the more points in their head, video game points they get. Pretty insane skills though. I mean, I will acknowledge that. I will acknowledge this. And then this time, this dude is doing it to a car. They're going to do one to a bus in a second. These dudes are crazy. That's wild. Like they're coming within inches of the car. Oh. It's an adrenaline rush is what they're doing. Oh my God. This dude did it to a bus that was moving. Very highly skilled dudes here. I mean, this is... They're trying to do it to each other now. That's kind of funny, actually. I didn't see this part. Actually, not too bad if they do it to each other, man. Go mess yourself up. Don't do it to some stranger. Yeah, they are wild. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, he jumped.
Never regret a day in your life. Good days give happiness.
You know, actually, I changed my take on this a little bit.
The worst days give lessons. And
as long as they're not I mean, they're violating rights, but as long as they're not popping off, because you know, at the street races, they should be popping off, man. That is a little. Actually, that is violating. I don't mind when they do it to each other, and then if they do it in like a park somewhere where they're just in a circle doing their own thing. But yeah, going up to people like that is. If they got wrecked if a person decided they wanted to wreck one of them, then I would have been like, you fully within your right to. Madness. I think it's a sign, man. I don't know how long kids been doing stuff like that. I mean, they've been doing bike stuff all the time, but Oliver Anthony, he had some comments. He had some stuff to say. I'm gonna listen to you, Oliver. New Oliver Anthony blasts Fox News for using his song, Richmond, North of Richmond, at the GOP debate. And let's hear what the young man has to say.
It's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me. It's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them. It's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them. It's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message. You know, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks. It seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is, well, you know, like it was funny seeing my song in the. It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate, because it's like I wrote that song about those people, you know. So for them to have to sit there and listen to that cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, you know? It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. that song is written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too, not just them, but definitely them.
Yeah, I don't know who made the argument that the song was about Joe Biden, but and he's entitled to his opinion. My take is, I appreciate you. The song was able to get onto the stage at the GOP debate. Yeah, of course we know the song was about them. That's why it was awkward for them to answer the question. The song was about all of them up there, especially the ones that are for like the Ukraine war and stuff. So, but my big takeaway is I'm grateful that the song blew up, and to get the song on the stage is wonderful. Hopefully you getting your money. As long as you get your money, if you're not getting your money and everybody's getting their money off you, then I wouldn't have a problem. But I don't know what the financial reward is there, or the not reward, but revenue that he's making. But hopefully he's making his money because the song blew up, and not just everybody else. I know it's on iTunes and maybe with views on YouTube or something. I don't know. Spotify. I don't know if it's even on Spotify, but that's what I would say is get your paper. But as long as you got your paper, man, you inspired a lot. So I don't know what to make of his take there, other than for me, I'm grateful. I like to see it on the stage. And that's the power of the song. That's why culture is more powerful than politics, and that makes me happy, really. And I don't even care. I couldn't care less what your politics are. I like the song. He could be a flaming Democrat. I couldn't care less. The song's based. And it spawned other people too. Now, that's the other part about it, is the song inspired all the remixes. I played the Black Pegasus remix, and here's another one. A little R&B twist to it, a little pop R&B twist to it. I'll never get tired of this.
Been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away. Drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gone to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxing no end, 'cause of Richmond, north of Richmond. Oh, I wish politicians would look out for minors and not just minors in an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. But God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxing no end, 'cause of rich men north of Richmond. Ooh. all day. Overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Nice. So you spawn that out, and they put a Bitcoin twist on it. I don't know if that's the advertising or not, but I mean that fits. The Bitcoin actually fits the song too. And all I can say is that you do you, Oliver Anthony. Thank you, sir. I got one last take. Let me make sure. Oh, I had Jesse. I have a note on here about Jesse Kelly. I'm like, what is that take? I forgot what that take was. Let me look that up. Jesse Kelly. Oh yeah. Let's do the Jesse Kelly. It's a funny one. I completely forgot about this. It's like 2 seconds. I just saw this random one here. This account, a sin, is a really good account. I really like this account. I don't even know who runs that. I don't know any of these people really, but that account's really fun to follow. Jesse Kelly, everyone. Fox News is they're diverse. So I think they're diverse, so they'll be okay with this.
I am now going to book the Fulton County photographer for my Christmas card. Because, Judge, and I say this with a unblemished record of heterosexuality, he looks good. And he looks hard. And
pause.
I am now going to book the Fulton County photographer for my Christmas card. Because, Judge, and I say this with a...
Would somebody teach Jesse Kelly, pause?
Unblemished record of heterosexuality. He looks good.
Unblemished until today.
And he looks hard.
He looks good and he looks hard. Pause.
And he looks hard. And
I don't know who's on. Oh, this is the 5. So the co-hosts on the 5 they're laughing.
And he looks hard. And
they knew in the moment that he looks good and he looks hard probably wasn't going to play well on the internet.
He looks good. And he looks hard. And I am now going to book the Fulton County.
Okay, Jesse, that was a moment. Jesse Kelly was having a moment. He really liked the Trump. It sounds like, Jesse, did you like the Trump mugshot? Like you really liked it.
Sexuality. He looks good. And he looks hard. And
what did that even mean, Jesse? Like, I don't even know the context in which you would say he looks hard. Like, I mean, hard is slang, but I wouldn't have chosen that word there. But, you know, I've had to say pause a lot myself, so I'm not going to hate on you, Jesse. It's all good. And I got my own take. People might think it's cringe. I think Roseanne Barr, this is my last take, I think Roseanne Barr is sexier than Margot Robbie. Changed my mind.
But then also with the big hit comes people that aren't so happy as well. If you say that you're a supporter of Donald Trump or...
Oh, yeah, people are mad about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't give a...
Yeah. But then also with the big hit comes people that aren't so happy as well. If you say that you're a supporter of Donald Trump or...
Oh, yeah, people...
See, what's sexy here is that courage and that I don't give an F. She's in Hollywood in a way, like she's not welcomed any, much here. She's kind of shunned a little bit, but she's like, I don't give an F.
As well. If you say that you're a supporter of Donald Trump or...
Oh, yeah, people are mad about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't give a...
Yeah. And it's that simple. Like that, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Roseanne Barr, that's where we are right now. I'm not joking with you. Roseanne Barr is sexier than Margot Robbie. You can try to change my mind, but you can't. Who wore it better? This is Roseanne. And this is, I think that's Kim. Kim, Roseanne. See, I told you. It's too late. So New Age Hippie said, let's look at the comments here. Bruh, sexually attracted to old.
about it. Oh yeah, got my attention. Quarantine on the thing when it feel right. Fuck social distance. She feeling nice. She say 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 she feeling nice.
So New Age Hippie says to me, bruh, sexually attracted to old women. You're getting weirder by the day. I should have just said no lies detected, but I said I find courage sexy. He said, bruh, you got some weird immigrant energy. My parents are Jamaican, if you don't know. I'm just going to put facts there. I don't know if anybody else replied to this. There's a picture here. Where is that from? The Golden Girls or something? Is that Seinfeld? No, I don't know where that one's from, but yeah, I'm out. Everybody have a good night. We'll see what's going on. Oh, I'm trying to do a show every night, believe it or not. Because the biggest thing with this streaming thing is you got to be consistent if you want to do it. And yeah, I do. Jungle Jim from Athletic Mike Leagues. I like this song. Reminds me of 2000. When did this come out? 2002 or 3 or 4? But yeah, I'm going to try to do a show every night, 11 p.m. Mountain. You come by. Middle Mag is the website. I'm Osiris. I'm out. This is Athletic Mike League.
Soul survivor, miraculously unharmed. Barely hit the earth without taking my mother off. My place in this world is to take y'all beyond the point of no return from the land of the lost. Southern bred with my hand resting on the cross. Everything to lose and ready to risk it all. This is where it begins and not a second later, dog. If you with it, let's get it, cause against it, you're gonna fall. Oh no, hell no, nigga, no. Believe we'd attempt anything for the stomach rumblings. Feel like the world on my shoulders from the weight up under them. A little cocky, never get, but all in all, some humble men. In the forest of forgotten sin, my kin are crumbling. Stuck in a tropic labyrinth of forbidden fruit. I stumble in my tennis shoes, ain't lace, man. Something got to give, God willing, we gon' make it, and I lose no other friends in this race. Flash over the wastelands of Judah. Escape plans like my weight class to moved up. Past the object pieces of J. Edgar Hoover. Executed, hopping rooftops. Can't catch the feeling. Play hard in the pieces of train yards. Climb buildings to get the billboards and snatch antennas. Suspended over traffic, hanging under bridges. The reason why 94 got overpasses missing. Falling paint cans, cracked windshields. I ain't fuck with your ordinary playground equipment. Bomb to revenge out of cash, looking like the Lord asking for his advance back without Jack to give them. Skip the rail that stopped those on from breakdancing. Adjust your lens, I just put the truth in front of them. Above the big city on the mast of a sunken ship. 4 a.m. parents ask where the fuck I've been. Cause the dirty clothes and busted kicks. We hold the covenant, mixing blood in a cup of gin.
Renovate, my sense of sound did it. Brainstorm within my own rainforest green. Stain beats, icicle off my forehead. Breathing days with cat smoke supreme. Any trees, family trees don't even have any leaves swaying. Anxious women imaging off their black planet screen names in every shade of persuasion. Love things gather to hold on to. Turn in the time you feel pot to club scenes. Let go and see things from the other end. Then you reside on my side of the. You'll have the playground kids call you a punk chicken. Let the world eat you inside. Hitting up Antron, Singleton with lumps and limbs modest. Though cats can still end up with their crew cut like Chris Muller trims. Got
ain't nothing new about this. 23 years of seasoning to prove it I can. Was poured in the store that the music's knocked in. The difference between me and you, I'm not them. Even facing death for Ruger's locked in. I only fear not doing what I've been. My nigga laid on the ground with stab wounds inside him. I'm breath away from death, but death and he kept breathing. Returned to his 3 children, a squad to rock with. So say it's luck, but it's a sign not to quit. So I decide not to quit. Quit trying, it's time to get. Overcome these trials and dominate like it was meant. The world's you reach the top to define that no one wins. Above the concrete from vinyl into them. You can sink or you can climb to the tunnel's end. These words I sing with the pride of a southern hymn. Getting ready, open wide cause we coming in. Climb it, climb it, climb it.
7. Caramel complected, body like heaven. Met her through the sister of my man Big Vince. Like some shit from out the flicks, we been in love ever since. She called me her chocolate brother, I call her my sugar sister. Knew shorty could work it since before I ever kissed her. I never dissed her, painted my picture to hit. But because sex she wasn't with, she started flipping and shit. Like listen man, I'm Queen Amina. Amina's not no freaking, that game is weakened. Keep trying to hit, I could quit speaking Tariq. In fact, you being Black Thought, don't get you closer. I dig your butt, won't bone you because I'm so called supposed to. Most of them would, but that couldn't be me, that's not my flavor. Go home and think about that, maybe later on I'll page her. I contemplated and then concluded she was bluffing. Steady pursuing, screwing, getting nothing but the silent treatment. Girl, you know that you need to stop giving me the silent treatment, baby. Can't you see what you mean to me? I wanna love you constantly, but you keep neglecting me and treating me silently. Girl, you know that you need to stop giving me the silent treatment, baby. Can't you see?
So I'm just doing a working session right now since I'm in the mood to look at this bill. This is a Georgia bill if anybody's watching this channel. Still, I'm done streaming, but I'm looking at this Georgia Senate bill, and I put it in this PDF reader to help me analyze it so you can ask questions. This is what I said the government needs to set up. The government should set this up on the website using artificial intelligence. You still need the whole document to check that it's doing the right thing, but you should be able to ask any question of the bill. For example, the government came out with it didn't pass, but it was introduced in March, I believe, the Restrict Act, which I talked about on this channel. And the Restrict Act was supposed to go against TikTok, but it didn't apply to anybody. They never named TikTok, but it was specifically just to go after TikTok. Didn't apply to the other social media companies, but there was broad ranging power that could apply to people in general. For example, you look at that bill, they could have outlawed the use of VPNs. If you don't know, VPNs are used to hide your identity when you go online or to spoof. So I can make my computer. When I was doing some research on the Douyin app in China, I did use the VPN to make it look like I was in China. It doesn't work perfectly, but I was able to do a little bit of that. They would say that would be illegal in that Restrict Act. And that bill should have artificial intelligence, and you should be able to ask, if I use a VPN, with this bill, what would be the penalty? Would this bill look at that as illegal? So you don't have to read, you still got to read some of it, but you don't have to read 100. This bill right here is 100 pages, I think. I didn't even see how many pages this is. Yep, this bill is, no, it's 10 pages. No, it's not that long. So you could read through this one. But it kind of helps clarify. So it summarized it for me here. You do have to check it because it will summarize things inaccurately at times. But I can tell this one is accurate from what I've read a little bit of the bill. But I got to double check everything because it gets dates wrong and stuff sometimes too. But so I've analyzed this bill, Georgia Senate Bill 92, as passed by the House, the state Senate, focuses on the creation and the governance of the Prosecuting Attorneys Qualifications Commission. So you see what this is doing here is it's creating a commission. This is what I need to look at. I don't know. I need to find out what this is. So the bill is amending Article 1 of Chapter 18 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, which pertains to general provisions regarding prosecuting attorneys. So my theory is it would have been easier for them to oust Fannie Will. Is it Fannie Willis? Why did I forget her name already? It's Fannie Willis, right? I've listened to that. I've listened to her. People talk about her all the time. So Fannie Willis. And I think it's making it actually harder. It looked like it was going to make it easier. I think it's making it, at least I can almost definitively definitively say it's taking the power out of the legislative body. That's concerning because it creates this prosecuting attorneys qualifications commission. That ain't the legislative body. So that concerns me when you're taking the power away from the The reason that Ron DeSantis was able to get those 2 DAs out of there, gosh, I write these articles, I don't even remember the names. Is one of them was Andrew Warren was one, and then why do I not? The other one's Monique or something like that. But the reason Ron DeSantis was able to do that is because he has the House, the Senate, and then himself is a trifecta. So Georgia has a trifecta too. But it's possible the legislative body could, I don't know, I have to look at that old bill. So I think it's actually making it harder for them to get rid of Fannie Willis. That Georgia Republicans, they're worse than the Arizona Republicans, the old guard.
Sorry that I'm braggadocious, but what matters most is rappers notice I'm in combat. All they are is a pack of roaches and back up a stove, and I'm about to raid it and spray it, they all flat. I don't think they know who they playing with. Had to say this shit twice, make sure I reiterated it. Your career hated it. Hang it up, boss, yeah, I painted it. Who you impressed? Do it best. Some night checks in the cemetery, do it to death. Move to the left with your muscle shirt glued to your chest and new dress. You in school with a vet.
Like ill and kill at will. Teaching a skill that's real, you know, frill. So just stand still
This song is hard. But one of the things I like about this, I'm using ChatGPT if you don't know. I can tell I'm going to tell ChatGPT my theory that I just articulated and see what it thinks, if it can help me out with an answer. So I'm going to tell it, I think this bill actually makes it harder to remove a prosecuting attorney. Tell me than it was before. Tell me if you can figure that out and give me the argument for me and against me.
Which means he's hiding a question. Which means he's fighting himself. Which means his time will be ended. Let's go. Everybody talking like you perfected some kind of a method, but I see the crack in the back of your diamond embedded. It's not even kind of impressive. I'm trying to get it because you do everything he do, because everybody love him, but nobody gonna pay for 2 people doing one thing. So you might have views, but you can't sell a ticket. Damn, man, better get it. Bam, when I kill it. And fans will be flipping. Stands like a gymnast. Man in a minute. Stands will be biggest. Canyon and women. Stamp every lyric. Hey, that's what it will be for real. You said that you never fail, but right now our fresh writers, you have gone stale. You caught red-handed, you read with your hands like Braille. Hell no, you ain't hear it. I'm the epitome, the peak, the apex, the pinnacle of putting thought into lyric. With every piece of grammar, you might meet token, but you will not meet a standard.
Like ill and kill at will. Teaching a skill that's real, you know, frill. So just stand still and chill as I build. Science I drill until my rhymes fill. Your head up. Don't even get up. The teacher is teaching, so just shut up.
Hey, yo, pull up. Park the car, run inside. Knowing what she about to say, nigga, you an hour late. I try to explain how I need a cut to start my week. She fires back, how is that more important to me? I'm like, whoa, you must not know about a nigga in his hair. The way your attitude changed when you need a chair. A new man with a cut so mean, convinced you could pull the next young thing strutting down the street. What you know about sleeping with stocking cats at night? Going to school with lines on your head cause you rocked it tight. You must not know what it takes to get the 360s. 100 brunches a day, you bring the seasickness. I'm talking waves so mean that when you stand, everybody close afraid they gon' sink. I take it you don't know about the first time getting braided. Your eyes watering, cussing like this bitch is crazy, but you get used to them. Then they start itching. You can't scratch them, so you poking and you picking them. Take it out and wash it. The next day you back over a crib, telling her how you want braids like I would.
What you know about this here? You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? You have no idea what you know about this here. You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? You have no idea.
You out of line, talking about why I'm always watching the game. And it always the same teams playing. Nope. Sports are more drama than your soul.
soap opera where you already know what's gonna happen. I told you both shot 'em. This is actual reality TV. It's more realer, and the only time it repeats is Sports Center. Success stories about cats who made it out the hood. Horror stories about those who didn't make it like they shoulda. Cause of sex, drugs, violence, you name it. From the realest villains to those fronting for entertainment. But there's nothing more dramatic than 4th down and goal. Clock ticking down the old. Time stops around the globe. A one-on-one with a shot off before it's all zeros. One winner, one hero, no sequel. So what you know about it? From the pros to college, they give their soul to competition. So I'm watching
What you know about this here? You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? You have no idea what you know about this here. You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? Yeah, you have no idea. Double life is student / entertainer day begin. Never see a sun ray after we shut down your major. Waking up 4 hours later. Projects, papers, exams get sacrificed for writing verses right. Well, here's the game plan. Starts in the art school, dark room, head in the photo lab. Yelling on my cell phone in class. I don't tell hoes I rap, but after lectures, asking questions, interrogating where's the league and who I'm dating. Ain't nothing changed, trick. I stay spitting like I stay getting educated. Feeling like Rodney Dangerfield, 7 years ain't graduated. Creative weirdo, sipping Cabernet and Merlot. Rock earth tones, new balance your bow. It ain't fancy, but it worked though. What you know about the large professors study abroad? AKs, deltas, exchange students, credit extra. Big man on campus rules, packed coliseums, crayon sessions with the better teach kids math in the afternoon. What you know about this here? You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? You have no idea what you know about this here. You don't know nothing about this. What you know about this here? You have no idea what you know about it. They don't know about it. What you know about it. They don't know about it.
Next message. Received at 8:02 p.m.
MTV like the greatest, the ghetto made us. Boston. From the streets of Boston. Boston, yeah. Where you at, boss? Yeah. I'm looking for more than street props when Pete Rock hit the beatbox, take your cheap shots from your weak street blocks. You heard like you eavesdrop when you all fall, like the seasons when the leaves drop. I'm mad lethal, never had equal, cause Boston's a good place to meet bad people. Your second joint, a sad sequel. You an old school rapper who mad feeble. Don't get a need to concern yourself with what we do. You can get the picture first just like a preview. Laid up with a tube to breathe through. We take the good and evil and breeze through. I know you whack, don't put out records to remind me. Special teams walk beside me, not behind me. I'm a throwback from the 90s whose return is timely. For hip-hop consciousness that's grimy. For Boston, Humboldt Ave, 194. MTV very loud. Hey yo, my work ethic, disperse effort from my first to my worst effort. There's a madness to my method, it's universal. My music is underground and commercial, wholesome and controversial. The routine, no need for rehearsal. CEOs, label owners, role reversals. Different ciphers, different circles. The we was brown, now it's green and purple. I'm telling truths and lies like a reverend. Fell in love with hip-hop at age 11. Edo's the veteran who used it as a weapon to raise hell up in heaven. Now I'm considered a legend. If my peeps will come, the streets will come. If rhymes is hot, then the beats will come. And in the industry, you can't be too dumb. And in Boston, they wonder what street you from. I'm from the boat. For Boston, Humboldt Ave, 194. MTV very loud. Too stones unturned, stories untold. The plot unfolds when Edo G push the threshold. I rock like the Depeche Mode, hip hop's best old. Any club I'm in, I'm disobeying your dress code. The spots vary, pop cherries, a big butt chicks that's top heavy. Bring them back to Roxbury and spark heavy. Cause I'm living a dream, not even half your team can stand the fire from the gasoline. I'm still dirty, so I'm half as clean. I'ma holler if her ass is mean. To you ballers that's after cream, me and my self-esteem will take your self-esteem to your whole crew's a helpless team. Can't be the ace when you dealt the queen. My knife go through flesh and rupture your spleen. I try to stay neutral, right in between, and remain cautious on the Boston scene. For Boston, Humboldt at 194, energy be very loud. Cause Boston's where the kid rap. For Boston, Humboldt at 194, energy be very loud. Cause Boston's where the kid rap. The kid rap. The kid rap.
If you don't wanna see me, did a full 180, crazy, thinking about the way I was. Did the heartbreak change me? Maybe, but look at where I ended up. I'm all good already, so moved on. It's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Aren't you the guy who tried to hurt me with the word goodbye? Though it took some time to survive you, I'm better on the other side. I'm all good already, so moved on. It's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Don't stop now. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody.
So Georgia already had the power to impeach district attorneys, but I don't know what that process was or if it's still in place now.
This is just how I zone when quarters pass. I was born at a quarter past. I was the color purple. Mom and pop took me home in a Crown Royal bag. Now I'm the hottest nigga that you know with the coldest intentions. All I know is this flow and this pencil. The Lord is my shepherd, the devil's my Doberman pension. The industry said I had to be an alcoholic who be having threesomes, be doing acid and having seizures. Wish I can go back to my old school and slap the teachers. All I had to do to blow up was an album packed with features. I don't relate to common folk, they focus on the comments, so I'ma go roll a Tessarossa down the coast of Monaco. Lo and behold, you're honorable. Niggas is sheep, niggas is sleep, about to woke as a dinosaur. My connector give you a whole kilo of coke, so he can go Geronimo. He should receive a trophy for being the holy Jesus of flows, key to coke. Bad, that should be my tag. I'm from the streets where the odds are not even. Robbery, thieving, ballers, debauchery, scheming. A lie, Jesus, is hard to believe. I'm a product of Eve in the Garden of Eden. Speaking how targeted we've been. Rihanna Stalker, I'm parked in the DMs. Shark in the deep end. Put the pause on you, I soften your defense. Hit your pause button, halt your critiquing. Talk is cheap. The more you niggas talk it cheapens. And all I see is prey. Round the streets today, I'm about a freak away from having Issa Rae. Eating out Lisa Ray. Any artist out that you see is great. Tell him I said bring his ass. Better bring his A. Let it single play. We don't care what you sing. Hit you in the face with the butt of the gun. You leak and get your street credit a few streams. Pop go to Weasel, nigga. Fever Nina, I'm the illest. You got pop culture fever, nigga. All I know is big and pop quotes. Pop toast and squeezing triggers. Speeding tickets. Now I pull the cops over. Get them niggas season tickets. Teacher used to shoot me down vicious. Now she the missus. She turned me to a family guy quicker than Peter Griffin. I told myself when I was 14 that she the one. Now nigga probably got more C's than Peter Guns. Now I go out to get my groceries in two-seaters. Used to roll the old school 4 speakers and 2 tweeters. Riding with nothing but raw quarter packs and duffels. Ryan Rice heaters. Y'all niggas is cut like one of them get rich or die trying white beaters. Me, I'm just all shoulder straps and muscle. If you're a hater, let's do it. I whip you now, then whip on your boy later. Them whippings will go around like a tornado. I get rid of more Yale. I don't do Rodeo or L's. I do the Floyd Mayos. So many men shopping in women's section, it ain't no ladies left. These niggas crazy, yes. They playing crazy like the Chappelle sketch. Wayne Brady Ep. I'm what you get when Freeway Rick and Cocaine 80s met. Bringing bars back to the street like Jay and Nas speed. Broadcasting ether in HD at Godspeed.
And the scene starts to unfold when the man walks through the door with all that gleams and all this gold, designing names on from head to toe. Here we go.
Slow down a little bit. I just want to get to know you, baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to bite your shit. It's all chicken except for the bone. Yeah. Shit, I'm getting a little money out here. I just want to spread the wealth. You know what I'm saying? I got money, I got credit cards, I got PayPal cards, whatever you want to do. We can do EBT, you need groceries. Shit, baby, what you looking at? Look up, what the fuck you see over there? Is a unicorn over there?
Niggas sweat bitches while bitches sweat, chill nigga in the sweats. If you don't get no respect, it really don't matter. You could be Louis Vuitton up. You might as well have on Von Dutch and Tommy Hilfiger with a debt. I don't do dirt, I don't call scenes. I send niggas through to leave a mess. I'm a real nigga in the flesh. I will find a bitch in distress. I will make her feel so alive. Then beat her with the dick to death. Real nigga in the flesh. If shit ain't right between us, we will leave a nigga left. Real nigga in the flesh. I despise rapper niggas. Y'all niggas fly private, I come skyjack you niggas. You disrespect me, I get on board with 3Ks out and go to your PJ's palette. Tell him I need those Jets keys like I'm DJ Khaled. Seems like every artist out there snorting coke and smoking bass. I just opened up a briefcase and dumped out the contents to close up an open case. If my social rising, I'ma lift the hood up like Trey Martin. I'm a clapper, they targets, they trappers. I'm a convict / escape artist. Real nigga in the flesh. Finding bitches in distress. Make them feel so alive. Then beat them with the dick to death. Yes, real nigga in the flesh. If shit ain't right between us, we will leave a nigga left. Real nigga in the flesh. I'm P.O.P., you D.U.D. You bark up this tree, I make you turn over 3 new leaves. You live right by the code or get left like 323. I'm a Tribe Called Quest, I'm the new G. Out here going dumber than Tweedledee. All these youngers wanna redo me like these movies, cause I'm so Pablo Escobar-esque. Elephant in the room, never out my element. Oh, always on my P's and Q's like R-S-T-U-V. Never tell your intel to a gent who's intelligent, cause he'll tell a friend who then shall attempt to turn bullets into shells and spit and turn humans into skeletons. I'm a real nigga in the flesh, finding bitches in distress. Make him feel so alive, then beat him with the dick to death. Yes, real nigga in the flesh. If shit ain't right between us, we will leave a nigga left. Real nigga in the flesh. Yes, yes. I'm
I'm breaking noggins, I'm dating goddesses. The haters tried but couldn't feed me salt cause I seasoned all them. Now I'm raking dollars and say goodbye. I'm finna take you out of here, you can't deny it. I'm the H&I, you hit a 4-door Porsche, whatever vehicle. A nigga like Lincoln couldn't survive what I made it out and over 7 years ago. I know time flies by, you're a sick tick tick. Mine's went like 11 years ago. My flow so heaven sent, when I go to heaven, I'ma go heaven, here you go. I'ma go tell God I know, I promise that I'd never steal your flow. I lie, ain't nothing like side pussy on my dick. Word to the motherfucking DJ quick. Bunch of girls wanna have a bunch of relations, even when a nigga wanna be their friend. I learned that faithful women need their men. They don't really wanna lead their men. They just don't wanna get a phone call from another chick saying where he done been. If your bitch about to leave, try to asking yourself questions like fight for Hawaii. You better step up and fight for her like you fighting for Hawaii. You motherfucking BJ Penn. I'm a real nigga in the flesh. My wife almost left me, but she ain't do it. I don't like the way ex-wife sound. That don't got a ring to it.
Get her.
I'm so very close. Can't you
your feet. It's a whole new song. We gon' make you feel it. I am losing my control. It's the force taking over my body and soul. No matter how rocky the road, we cannot be detoured from our optimal goals. Rock and roll with the guns and roses of someone exposing emotion so openly. No one approaches the level of spoken utopia. So hopefully you can sit back and
rushing through your speakers, alien music, amusing movements, move it now. But not too much, y'all, cause you might hear the sound of your neck snap like ouch. You shrill from the thrill to the feel good. Got your sweats rock, now you're kicking it. Shocked the way we drop 12 inches. Y'all think it's proper some sort of sexual reference. You got to
all in you.
I'll make y'all feel it. So straight up and down.
Trembling, earth shaking, instantly man in it. We shake the planet, larger than life. You'll see that we massive giants that sleep with our feet off the mattress. So the effects from the rifle, spit shotgun like Michael Vick. Get your whole title stripped faster than broads dance to pay for their college bills. Scrape for the dollar bill, stay with their polished nails. An anthem to say the least. Hands up and wave them, please stand up and make a scene. Scream. You don't believe you will soon. Quit fronting, acting like you don't feel who?
Make, believe, proceed, achieve, succeed, release, succeed. Make, achieve, proceed, believe, succeed, release, succeed.
Spiritual war. When I deliver one dosage of explosives with an unparalleled off the scale electrical voltage, so defeating us is hopeless. Don't oppose this, forget it. There's no match in my stature or kinetic athletics. Yeah, we go as far as you let it. Destroying cities, states, nations, countries, continents, and planets. Oh, damn it, it's heaven with climax in every breathing. When we impregnate the solar system with interplanetary semen. You're at a league and now you conceiving. Disbelief, now you teething, so don't you believe it. Yes, we're here, the dream team is here. One nasty athlete, number 3, take your ass to the rear. And put your headphones on, turn it up, pass way too loud. Hand in the air, one on your head, rockin' spaz out. So now, put this loud text so food in your mouth. I think filthy, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's sad.
All in your soul. Yeah. Oh, ain't you feeling? All in your soul. You know we bring it, I know that you feel it, so let yourself go and feel it. All in your soul.
How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, I hope this one right here is the one. Before I say anything that offends you, I just want to say, fuck you and every male that you look up to. Your daddy, brother, and uncle, your basketball coach, the public school mascot that used to hug you, that pastor that butt fucked you. Holy shit. Yeah, holy shit. Who's the bony bitch living in a hoey pitch and clothes that don't really fit? That's the new rap homie kid. Who's the bony bitch screaming, I don't do this? Then they blow the dick just like a pro and spit. Like every hoe I know and shit. I off the top rope a bitch. Nikolai Volkov a bitch. Grab my Bolsheviks and tell that hoe come call for this. The headboard banging on the wall and shit. Neighbors bang on the wall and shit. Cause I'm banging the walls and shit. Banging that off the wall and shit. For real? Why that? Where that Barry White at? I said I'm daddy in these blankets. Baby, leave that Mike Jack. I can't believe that she believed that I'd really be right back. She. What's her name again? Cocaine fingertips. When I get dumb, I get numb. Can't even feel the words on my tongue. Got them cocaine fingertips. You gonna be high as a kite as I recite the pure white that I write off these cocaine fingertips. Just that in front of the store, but I'ma cut it for it's all raw, boy. Them cocaine fingertips. Yeah, that's some good shit. The nerve of anybody on this earth to think they like me. I'm Godzilla in Japan way back in 5'3", 5'4". The raw fresh off the jaw, Loch Ness monster on the high seas. Sometimes I ask myself, yo, where they find me? My mind be on interstellar, extraterrestrial, biochemical, celestial weaponry. I can think you into residue. Don't even need the worst of me to get the best of you. A couple healthy words from me and turns you vegetable. Any rapper is edible. I'll clap you off your pedestal, pedal you on the back of my Vespa to an incredible desolate desert location next to some sort of federal military installation. Install some more lead in you, then make you write yawa 1,000,000 times in blood legible. Do it again. Some people say I'm not normal, no formal introduction needed, cause if I see you, I am not cordial. Hold his fist across your head, that's how I forewarn you. Cocaine fingertips. When I get dumb, I get numb. Can't even feel the words on my tongue. Got them cocaine fingertips. You gonna be high as a kite as I recite the pure white that I write off these cocaine fingertips. Just that in front of the store, but I'ma cut it for it's all raw, boy. Them cocaine fingertips. Yeah, that's some good shit.
Yeah, bro, that shit is really potent, yo.
Anything or everything. Anything, everything. White people decide between anything and everything. My people divide between anything and everything. Grew up in the hood between anything and everything. White people enslaved us, made us just do everything. Now they just encaged us, divide us up in everything. We snitching on each other, telling everything. Buy from other colors, selling everything. That vodka was my crush, but now I'm just on everything. The landlord just kicked my mother out and everything. But why the fuck my people always renting everything? Cause we don't own anything. We don't stand for anything. And so we fall for anything. We wasn't born with anything. We don't control anything. And we don't own anything. And we don't learn anything. So we don't earn anything. We sell our soul for anything. We sell our soul for everything. Mom and Papa used to fall out over everything. I'm at the mall, I'm spending all I got on everything. Money and the power, bitches over everything. It don't make sense if I ain't living for everything. Except we don't live for anything. Niggas kill for anything. We dying over everything. We killing over anything. Killing over anything. America will always side with those whom she can direct, give orders to, and have those orders obeyed. Minister Louis Farrakhan. There is no police brutality. Sheriff David A. Clark. God bless America. Don King, nigga.
Trey Styles from the Athletic Mike League. I'm chilling with Vital, Buff, and KT. It gets a little hectic in the deuce. We gonna be on how we just chill.
Dial the 7 digits, hit up the Von Ramar with the quickness. To see if browsing the mall was in their interest. Hung up the phone, going to handle my business. Check my pockets, admonished, holding the bone in 6 cents. Slid out the crib, sneakers, Adidas fashion, like what's happening. I guess I'm ballin' if rockin' flat is short for platinum. To the mall, I push my mom's ride. Still ain't got my own to roam the streets with ever since the time I spent with Jesus. Now the ATM's playing me on some cheap tip. I'm frowning as I look at the short funding on my receipt slip. But still, it's Saturday, the joints packed with mad women. River rats from way back, so much dap was given. Spot some kids arguing about the dopest style of kicks. Our minds clicked through, sipped on Biggie drinks and reminisced. Flashback to high school when my friends used to roll out. Skipping class to get the new Jordans before they sold out.
Ain't no picture in your frontin', up in this mug. You know we keep the party jumping when we up in this mug. Living life is a must, don't be coming at us. So break out and get bum rushed up in this mug. Pro Air, Coach Fair, lands in Michigan. No time for autographs, lifestyles, missing glam. Tonight, show for 25 of our biggest fans. Catch me on stage with the ice water in my hands. And my big diamond cubic is blind in the room from swift movements. Y'all can live this too from this music biz. Please let me in, I'm performing. Yeah, that's what I thought. Keychain hanging from my neck. Thugs trying to pull it off. Crushed cotton butter soft. They all stop talking as soon as we walk in the room. And they all start gawking, it's rude. See them girls by the wall? Met them all before. Ain't got their numbers, but they keep getting their calls ignored. 94 Tracer wagon. It ain't that I'm bragging, but to live like this, one can only imagine how I'm living. That's right, I said I'm living. You living, we living. Yeah.
Who's in Rockport's jittin'? Up in this mug, you get cross-tossed, no hair did. Up in this mug, it smells like fried gorilla nuts. Up in this mug, you act up and you can leave bad out this mug. With rhymes, admit that I'm controlling the worst. I pump jig on my way to do custodial work. With Union Cats ask if the East and West is still beefing. And I explain the impact of big and pot death to the region. But how you explain leaving? Prestigious institutes where interest groups lead you through to hit the streets to see the truth. Stuff froze on my cuff, frost from a frozen touch. I grew dreads after my last drunken cut from Rush. We produce with both organs, beats and rhymes is gut. Aphrodite style, nigga, you ain't fucking with us. But your girl is gluttonous portion served on whirlwinds. Catch me in my drawers, drinking Kool-Aid to the world end. See the lead floss, hang posters and stay supportive. The fee cost, high book is still, you can't afford it. I kill with a 4/5, tape recorded. And if you teed off, that's fortunate. You know I was playing when the tour hit.
How y'all feel now since you slid? Blow the one love in the air. Rockin' with the best. Haters, sorry you just smashed. It's the athletic mic. Lead, giving a high. Let us know you feeling high. For those that's living. It's the athletic mic. Lead, giving a high. Let us know you feeling high. For those that's living high. 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 Alright.
Niggas don't know me, call me he. That's all you know is these verses, his name.
Nigga, 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 nickel 9 is me, not them. This is him, not they. Royce, Reef, double R. Beef is close, but trouble's far. Nickel 9 is what the rhyme is. I put my time in, nigga. Nickel 9 is me, not them. This is him, not they. He is the reason why the funds is dizzy. Money continuously spinning, round and around like a frisbee. My lungs are sticky from the secondhand smoke from out of the guns. They busy and come get me. He is quick on the